Welcome to the Horror Next Door. This is everything that we watched for the month of October. In celebration for Halloween, we watched a horror movie every day. We're going to try to rapid fire these movies. So let's get to it. So first up is Possession from 1981, and we watched this on a DVD that I bought at a convention, and unfortunately it was the heavily edited 90-minute version, which I wasn't aware of. The only reason I bought the DVD was because it was cheap and I wanted to see it, and it's not anywhere on streaming or anything, and the 2-hour cut is on a $40 Blu-ray or whatever. Eventually we'll watch the 2-hour cut. But anyway, for it being highly edited, I still enjoyed the movie. Very interested in seeing the 2-hour director's cut and how it was actually intended to be seen, but I would recommend this movie.
I don't know if it's because I'm a highly sensitive person or what, but I just felt really anxious and uncomfortable almost the entire runtime of this movie. I keep putting off watching the full director's cut because this was very overwhelming for me. That probably means that it's a very well-made film, and I'm hoping that I might appreciate it a little bit more if I see it in the proper order on the way it was intended to be seen. If I don't, oh well. I mean, this movie is super hyped in the horror community, and we both wanted to see it for a long time, which is why we ended up buying a random DVD at a horror convention. But I don't know whether to say I recommend this or not. I don't have an answer for that right now. I'm sorry. Saint Maud from 2019, which we watched on Hulu. This is one of those polarizing movies that people seem to either love or hate. I'm just on the fence about it. I definitely think there was some insane imagery and a lot of horror films that touch on religious topics or take place in that sort of realm tend to freak me out quite a bit. There were a couple moments of that in this, but mostly it's just sort of middle of the road for me. I would still recommend watching it, though.
I thought this movie was a little slow. It was interesting, but just a tad slow for me. I still enjoyed it, but I really think that a lot of people are probably not going to get into it and probably aren't going to like it. I don't even know if I could really recommend it. Next is The Descent from 2005, which we watched our own DVD copy. I had seen this movie a very long time ago when it first came out. Really didn't remember much of it other than the ending. And the DVD that we watched actually had a completely different ending, so I was a little confused on that. Apparently there's multiple endings. But this movie's really cool. I love it. I would definitely recommend people to go out and see this movie.
I've always been a big fan of this movie, that's why I bought it. I hadn't seen it in an extremely long time either, though, so it was really fun to come back to it and be shocked in certain parts I forgot about all over again. I would definitely recommend this movie. The Descent Part 2 from 2009, which we watched on Tubi. I understand why I didn't buy this one. As much as I liked the first one, this one it's just very mediocre. A lot of the logistics behind how she ends up in the situation again and the other characters that they brought in, just all of it's just a lot of implausibility and unlikable people. So despite all that, it was still an okay movie. I guess I would say if you like the first one, you can check out the second one, but it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree that this sequel is completely unnecessary, and it's just kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. The setup and the ending. The parts where they're in the cave are interesting, but just cheesy. It almost seems like a dollar store version of the first movie. There was no point of making it. I understand why they made it, cash in, but it was pointless. I probably wouldn't recommend this movie. Next is Till Death, which we watched on Netflix from this year. Just came out not too long ago. I enjoyed this movie, but it is pretty ridiculous. There's some parts in it where it's just like, what is going on? A little over the top, so to speak. But overall, it's pretty average. It's entertaining. I don't know. I guess I would recommend it.
Yes, this is sort of another one of those suspension of belief kinds of things. I mean, you sort of have to let all the logistics go. The more they reveal about how and why she's in this situation and why she's under attack and everything, it all gets a little bit outlandish. But that's kind of what makes it fun. And there were plenty of parts where we were like, oh, or, just reacting to it because it was pretty fun to watch. It's definitely a mediocre movie, but I would still recommend it. Books of Blood from 2020, which we watched on Hulu. This is an anthology film based on Clive Barker's Books of Blood. I have not read the source material, so I can't really compare it. We all know the book is always better. It has its ups and downs just like every anthology. There were some really cool effects, some really lame effects, some really likable people, some really frustrating people. I think overall, I felt like it was worth watching, so I would recommend it.
I would recommend this movie as well. It's not the greatest horror anthology movie out there, but it was pretty well done, and there were definitely some pretty fucked up moments, so I really enjoyed this. Feedback from 2019, which I rented on disc from Netflix. This movie's kind of a stretch calling it a horror film. It's more like a thriller, but whatever. Richard Brake is cool, as always. I feel like the movie was basically a lot of talking, which, depending on what kind of movie you're watching, could be all right. But in this movie, it was kind of like, okay, let's get to it. Probably wouldn't recommend anyone watching this movie. It was kind of boring.
Here we have another movie where some of the things that the characters were able to accomplish seem pretty far-fetched. And in a situation where you're really just, as Psycho said, mostly sitting there watching people talk and argue with each other, that's not a good thing. I mean, if it were a more action-packed, gory, fun type of thing, maybe it wouldn't have stood out so much, but it just seemed a little bit ridiculous. And on top of that, I didn't feel invested enough or care about any of the characters to really care about the outcome. It was mostly just really frustrating. So I do not recommend this movie. Dark Water, the 2005 remake, which we watched on HBO Max. I love the original film, and I had never seen the remake. For some reason, I was having a difficult time finding anywhere to watch it, so when we saw it on HBO Max, we turned it on pretty much right away. I can't really say it's a great film. I do really like Jennifer Connelly, and there were things that I liked about this movie. It definitely, uses the exact same story, so if you like the original, you have that, but I would just rather watch the original version. Nonetheless, I would recommend this, but not as a priority.
Well, I have not seen the original, which I need to correct one day, and I had seen this remake before. I actually saw it in the theaters when it came out. But that being said, this movie's a little corny, but I like it. So if you know anything about the real life story of Elisa Lam, this movie actually has a different impact on you if you already know that story going in. So seeing it again, knowing that, made it a little creepy. I would recommend this if you're just looking for a PG-13 movie to watch. VHS 94 from 2021, which we watched on Shudder. So I thought this movie was pretty awesome. It was definitely better than VHS Viral, which we both really did not like that movie. It's definitely not better than the first two VHS movies, but it definitely had some good parts in there. There was like one little segment that was kind of lacking, but overall it was pretty cool. I would recommend this.
I think this is an anthology film that does have something for everyone. The stories are really varied, and I probably liked this movie overall more than most people, it seems like. The segment at the end definitely was like a downer. As soon as it was over, we were talking about how we kind of wish they would have put things in a different order. But other than that, I would recommend it. 1031 Part 2 from 2019, which we watched on Tubi. We most certainly were not impressed with the original 1031, as you may recall, and I'm not going to say we were impressed with this either. However, it was a slight improvement over the first one, sans the wraparound, which was really annoying. It's just the segments themselves were better this time. Just overall, quality-wise, story-wise, everything. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but movies like this are just really fun to watch during spooky season. So if it's October and you're just looking for something to watch, then yes, but otherwise, no.
I thought this was better than the first one, but it's really not saying that much, so I really wouldn't recommend it. The Furies from 2019, which we watched on Shudder. I thought this movie was fucking awesome. I loved it. I loved all the killers. I loved all their outfits and their masks and everything. Skin Crow was my favorite. He was pretty gross and just weird, but very original. I didn't really care too much for the ending, but I would highly recommend this movie.
I also very much enjoyed this movie. There was lots of crazy stuff going on. It keeps you interested the whole time. Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum from 2018, which we watched on Shudder. I really had just heard nothing but great things about this, and I was super psyched to watch it. I don't know if maybe that's why I didn't like it as much as everyone else seems to. I just feel like definitely overhyped. It's not really like anything I haven't seen before, and I don't know, at some points the characters were just really grating and annoying and frustrating. Towards the end, when all the super spooky stuff actually finally started happening, there were definitely some somewhat original and cool, creepy things, but, you know, even for being a super duper fan of Asian cinema, I just wasn't really into this. I'd rather watch Session 9 for the millionth time. I know that all sounded really harsh, but I would still recommend it if you like movies set in asylums and stuff like that, because as far as that goes, this is one of the better ones. But if you're looking for a good Asian horror, I could probably give you a list of about 50 to watch before this. So it's a yes and a no. It depends.
Yeah, I wasn't too big of a fan of this movie either. I do feel like it drug on with all the, we're faking stuff kind of storyline before things really got, revved up and shit started hitting the fan. In my opinion, the movie Grave Encounters did this whole plot 1,000 times better, and I would recommend you go check out Grave Encounters. Even if you like this movie, go check out Grave Encounters, because I think Grave Encounters is better than this. I don't know. I probably wouldn't recommend it. I wasn't too thrilled with it. Lose from 2018, which we watched on Shudder. This movie was really weird. I don't even know what to say. I guess I would recommend it if you like really weird shit that when the movie ends, you're like, the hell did I just watch?
This is definitely like nothing else I've ever seen, and even if for only that reason, I would recommend it. But there's also some really great acting and some creepy body horror type stuff, so yeah, I liked it and would recommend it. Jacob's Wife, which came out this year, and we watched on Shudder. Had to watch Queen Barbara Crampton, of course. She's still kicking ass, taking names, being awesome. This was a fun movie, crazy gore. Loved the part where she went to the dentist. And the ending was great. I would recommend this movie.
I would recommend this movie as well. I think everything about this movie was really cool. They got the comedy right, with the horror and everything. The one thing I did not like, though, was the makeup effects or whatever that they did with the head or like leader of the vampires. I thought the person kind of looked a little corny. They could have did a little better job on that. But otherwise, this movie was pretty cool. I had a lot of fun. Bad Apples from 2018, which we watched on Tubi. There's not much I can really say about this movie. It had audio issues. One of the actors talked really loud and the other actors talked softly. Would not recommend this movie at all.
This was another, it's October, what kind of corny Halloween themed movie can we watch tonight kind of things, and Brea Grant is cool, so I put it on, and no, do not recommend. Halloween Kills 2021, which we saw in the theater. We are in the minority when we say we enjoyed this flick. Obviously, there were plenty of things that I didn't love about it, but for the most part, the characters were frustrating, annoying jerks, and I had a great time watching Michael annihilate them. Sorry, not sorry. Also, I would just drop real quick that the only thing I really did not like at all, besides the annoying mob mentality crap, was that the, innocent, scared, short, stout guy was mistaken for Michael Myers and ended up dying because of it. That was effed up, and I don't feel like it was necessary for the story at all. Other than that, yes, I do recommend it.
So I really enjoyed this movie, and I would definitely recommend this movie if you're a fan of the Michael Myers series. I think my two biggest complaints about this movie is the mob storyline goes on for way too long. I think they should have toned that down. I don't know. I just really didn't like it. And then the whole Evil Dies Tonight got a little cringy how many times they said it.
Mm-hmm.
My only other real complaint is the scene in the towards the beginning where Michael Myers fights the firefighters. I really was hoping that scene would last a little longer. They really build it up and he comes out, it's all slow motion and he's about to take on these firefighters, and then it's like boom, 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 they're all dead, it's over. 30 seconds. Like, what? I was just expecting something. I wasn't expecting some crazy John Wick fight scene, but like just a little longer, you know. But other than that, I really enjoyed the movie. I think 2018's Halloween was a lot better, but for what it's worth, I think this one was pretty good, and I would recommend it. The Return of the Living Dead from 1985, which we watched on my Blu-ray copy. I would highly recommend this movie if you have not seen it. It is fucking awesome, and I love everything about it.
I agree. If you haven't seen this, what are you even doing with your life? If you're a horror fan, watch this immediately, if not sooner. It's funny, it's gory, it's creative, it's just effing awesome. I will quickly add, I remember watching this movie with my dad on multiple occasions. May he rest in peace. It gives me good, warm and fuzzy vibes. Every time I watch it, I think of him. Recommend 110%. The Cleansing Hour from 2019, which we watched on Shudder. I was actually quite impressed with this movie, despite a lot of unlikable characters and a premise that just seemed kind of absurd. It was so much fun, and it had some insane, crazy things going on in it. It's just like, holy cow. I don't even know what to say. I would definitely recommend it. I feel like a lot of the reviews on Letterboxd, people didn't like it, but we had a blast watching this, so I say check it out.
This is one of the movies that we talked about in our favorite horror movie trailers videos. And I feel like if you watch the trailer for this before going in it, you're probably going to think, wow, this movie looks really corny. But it's not corny, and it was actually really cool. It was kind of surprising, you know, it surprised me a little bit. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. And the ending, they really had the balls in the ending to go where they went with it. And I thought it was really cool. And I would recommend this. Go check it out. Hunter x Hunter from 2020, which I rented on disc from Netflix. This movie, I just didn't like it. I couldn't get into it. The trailer made it look good, but man, I don't know. Really didn't like it. I would not recommend it.
I agree. Difficult for me to see some of the stuff, like animal cruelty type stuff, just because I'm such a softie and such an animal lover. I just really didn't get invested enough in any of the characters to care about what was going on. It was sort of boring, and then when stuff finally happened, it just seemed out of character for everyone involved. I really don't recommend this movie. Sorry, Dev and Sawa. Sator, 2019. We watched this on Shudder. This is another sort of WTF movie, but not in the way Lose was, more like in the I don't know if I can recommend this way. I just feel like it was very scattered. I don't know if it was intentional or if it was just edited strangely, but I was confused. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be because it was talking about a supernatural entity and then like there were just regular people doing some stuff. So I don't know. The trailer made it look way cooler. I can't really say I recommend this one, unfortunately.
I didn't really care for this movie either. I think the one positive thing that I can say is everything in this movie was just really beautifully shot, but other than that, I didn't care for anything else.
Yeah, it looked cool, and it had a dreary vibe the whole time, like a dreadful feeling, kind of.
Yeah, it was on the verge, or maybe even over the verge of being artsy-fartsy. But I couldn't really get into it, so I would not recommend it. The Pool from 2018, which we watched on Shudder. This movie angered us so much. First off, it is a completely stupid reason that this person ended up getting stuck inside of a pool with a crocodile. The things that happened in this movie were completely ridiculous. It was on the verge of being like a Fast and the Furious type ridiculousness. I do not recommend this movie.
This is not a film. This is a farce. This is a joke. This is an insult to anyone who ever watched any movie. I hated this so passionately, I cannot even properly express it. I wrote a review on my Letterboxd if you would like more of my angry ranting, but what I will sum up with is, You cannot make a movie like this where you're supposed to be rooting for the main characters to survive and have them do nothing but make the most stupid, infuriating decisions ever. You cannot root for someone this stupid. I was rooting for the goddamn crocodile, and even that didn't make it fun. Do not recommend. Please, please do not watch this movie. Listen to us. I beg of you. Sun from 2021, which we watched on Shudder. I liked this movie more than I thought I was going to. It is another trailer that we talked about in one of our other videos. However, it still was better than I thought it was going to be, just like The Cleansing Hour was. And I do recommend it. There were definitely some super messed up moments. It's quite original. It's got some concepts that it draws from other things, but I don't know. I saw a lot of people saying they thought it was just a copy of other movies and, you know, it's all been done before and la-di-da, but I liked it, so I recommend it.
Yeah, this falls in the subcategory of my kid is possessed or crazy or something and he's going around doing weird shit. There's 1,000 horror movies like that, but when we turned this on, we originally turned it on and we were like, let's just put this on and see what it's like. But actually, it really surprised us, and, you know, even though it is one of those types of movies, it was cool. It was fun, and we had a lot of fun with it, and it turned out to be really good. So I would also recommend this movie. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch from 1982, which we watched on my Blu-ray. I love this movie and I cannot recommend it more. If you like Halloween, or if you like the Halloween movies and you didn't like Halloween 3 because Michael Myers wasn't in it, go back and give it another shot. Stop being that person. Just go give it another shot. Highly recommend this.
Yeah, I mean, you could even just pretend that it's not a part of the whole Michael Myers thing and watch it as a standalone film. I don't understand how people could love Trick or Treat and the vibes that that gives and not like this movie. I mean, obviously they're not the same, but they're both so much fun to watch around Halloween, and yeah, I would definitely recommend this. It's a great flick. The Ritual from 2017. This is another one that's based on a book I've never read, so I'm sorry if you like the book better, but I wouldn't know any better, and I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was very well done, and there was a real sense of eeriness and dread the whole time. I just felt like a weight on me. I just kept putting myself in their situation and being out there in the woods and just being lost. Ooh, what a feeling. One thing I will say is I wasn't a fan of the way, I guess, the ending was handled. I can't put my finger on it. I just feel like the whole movie was super duper scary and eerie, and then the vibe just really changed. I guess I don't know how to explain it, but I would definitely still totally recommend this movie. It was great.
I would also recommend this movie. Like Hellcat said, it does have some really creepy vibes, and everything that happens, you know, with them in the woods and the cabin that they stay in and everything is really cool. Not a huge fan of the third act. The monster looks interesting. I don't know who designed that thing. I don't know. It's just a really weird movie. It's hard to explain it, but would recommend it. Trick or Treat from 1986, which we watched on YouTube. I don't even know what to say about this movie. It is weird as shit. The heavy metal aspect is really cool. It's kind of cheesy 80s, you know, heavy metal. There's a special guest appearance from Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne. I would recommend this if you're into just 80s horror films that are like kind of cheesy and you're just looking to have a good time.
Right, I can't straight up say that I didn't like anything about this. I definitely liked the metal music aspect of it, and, you know, I just think it was ridiculous that all the popular kids or whatever were calling him, like, ooh, you like metal, like, oh, you're such a loser because you listen to metal music. Like, what? Okay, whatever, but there were some parts about this that were kind of annoying and just reaching and felt desperate. I almost want to say, I don't know why, but I was kind of reminded of 976 Evil for some reason. I like that movie way more than this, but I almost want to say if you like that movie, you might like this. I don't know if I would recommend it. I guess I would say yeah, but not as like a priority. Don't run out and find it or anything. Grave Halloween from 2013, which I'm pretty certain we watched on Tubi, but Letterboxd does not say it's there anymore, so I don't know. However, it doesn't matter because it's not a very good movie. If you've seen The Forest with that chick from Game of Thrones, I mean, you've pretty much seen this movie, kind of, sort of. This isn't like the worst thing I've ever seen. I just feel like it was absurd. I mean, I don't know how else to say. I just really can't recommend it. The synopsis sounded awesome, and it involves a suicide forest in Japan. So I just wanted to give it a chance. Again, it's not the worst thing ever. Maybe like a late at night, you're probably about to fall asleep kind of a watch.
I would not recommend this movie. I don't understand why they called it Grave Halloween just because this movie takes place around Halloween, but there's literally nothing going on with Halloween. It's not like they're wearing Halloween costumes or something. Like, there's no Halloween in this movie. Would not recommend this one. The Legend of Halloween Jack from 2018, which we watched on Tubi. I would not recommend this movie. This movie is pretty bad. The Halloween Jack character that's on the poster is probably in the movie for about 10 seconds. To make matters even worse, when looking this movie up, there's a sequel. They made a sequel to this. There's a sick curiosity to see the sequel, but I don't know if I can do it. Would not recommend this.
Yes, I don't want to insult anyone that goes to all the effort to make a movie. I know it is not easy, and I appreciate all of your efforts. However, this is just very poorly made, poorly written. It's just sad. I do not recommend it. I'm so sorry. One of the things that I said when we were in the middle of watching it was that it was basically just a copy of Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. And what was funny is when we went on Letterboxd to rate it afterwards, the very first review on there said the same thing. Just go watch Dark Knight of the Scarecrow instead. House LLC from 2015, which we watched on my unrated director's cut DVD version. I've seen this movie so many times, but I just realized I think I had only watched it on streaming before, even though I went and rushed out to buy this DVD because I love this movie so much, and I watch it like literally every single October, and more than that, usually. I don't think I had ever watched a director's cut. There were all these things that I had never seen. I'm like, that wasn't in there originally. Oh, that wasn't in there. So it was extra fun. Even though I've seen this movie so many times, I got to see little moments that I hadn't seen before. Man, it's a freaky movie. It feels real. You feel like you're a part of the situation. It is like found footage done right. Also, don't watch any of the sequels. But as far as this one's concerned, fuck yeah, I recommend it.
I would also highly recommend you see this movie if you haven't. I really enjoyed this movie. This was a movie that Hellcat introduced to me. Yeah, this movie is just really cool. There's a lot of subtle things going on in certain scenes in the backgrounds. So even if you watch it more than once, you're going to see things or pick up on things. It's just creepy. Also, real quick, I found somebody online that actually makes the clown mask. And Hellcat's like, no, don't buy it.
I don't want that freaky thing in my house.
Halloween 2 from 1981. We watched this on my Blu-ray. I highly recommend this movie. This is probably my most watched Halloween movie. I had this on a recorded off television VHS as a kid and probably wore that tape out watching it. I don't know. I just really like this movie. I like everything about it. Michael Myers is super creepy in this one, so go check it out.
Yes, I would also recommend this, of course. I always remember being a kid eating fresh out of the oven pumpkin seeds that my mom made watching this. So again, I get warm and fuzzy vibes, which I know makes no sense when you are watching this movie and Michael Myers is brutally killing people. But hey, it is what it is, okay? Just go watch it. Censor from 2021, which we watched on a rented Netflix disc. This lead actress looks so much like Samantha Morton, you guys. It's just freaky. Freaks me out. I liked this movie. I don't think I liked it as much as I thought I would when I saw the trailer. This was another one we talked about in our favorite horror trailers series. It was still really cool. I guess it just took a little while to really get going. I mean, I definitely think the stuff that happened at the end was pretty freaking gnarly and pretty freaking cool. So I would recommend it.
I would recommend this movie as well. This is a very weird movie. I really enjoyed the storyline for this, with her working for the Censor people, and she's watching all these fucked up horror movies, and the whole video nasty list that was actually a real thing in the 80s. And it's just cool seeing all that, seeing a movie revolve around all that, and then the story that takes place on top of it. I thought that was really cool, really clever. It just gets really weird at the end, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked how everything came to a head at the end there, so I would recommend it. Murder Party from 2007, which we watched on a DVD that we own. This is another horror comedy that's just great for Halloween. Highly recommend this movie if you like, comedy in your horror. If you just like Halloween in general and you want to see some ridiculous shenanigans take place. Also some brutal shit towards the end.
This is another movie that I watch every single Halloween and probably multiple times throughout the year randomly without even realizing how much I'm watching it. I don't even know what it is about this movie that I love so much, but one thing I will say is that this time around we watched the behind the scenes on my DVD copy, or the making of, I should say, sorry. And these people have been making films since they were kids. They've been friends for ages, and you can just tell that they had a real passion behind it. They couldn't get anyone to pick this up, and finally they were like, fuck it, we're gonna do it ourselves. And I am so effing glad they did. I know that there's so many moments of humor and gore and just really random awkwardness that wouldn't have ended up in the movie if some big fancy pants studio had picked this up and had their say. So I cannot recommend this enough. I definitely think you should watch it if you haven't already. Trick or Treat from 2007, which we watched on our own personal copy. This is one of the 3 movies I watch every single Halloween. Can't get enough of Sam the Little Cutie. Never gonna get over how original and awesome this is. This is the type of movie you can watch a bazillion times and catch fun little things that you didn't see before. I just think it's brilliant how they intertwined all the stories and all the characters. This is just a damn near perfect film, and it is the perfect Halloween film. Definitely recommend it.
I would highly recommend this movie. This is one of those movies that I don't even care if you're into horror movies or not. Like, go out and see this movie, especially if it's the month of October. You need to watch this movie. It's awesome. I don't even know what to say. This is pretty much an instant classic when it came out. So I love this movie, and I cannot go the month of October without watching it. Night of the Demons from 1988, which we watched on our Blu-ray copy. This movie is pretty fucking cool. I had never seen this movie before prior to meeting Hellcat, and she exposed me to it, and I was like, damn, where was this movie all my life? This is another perfect movie to watch during the month of October.
Yes, this, Trick or Treat, and Murder Party are the 3 movies that I always try to watch on or as close to Halloween as possible every single year. I never get sick of them. They are all so perfect, like Psycho said, for the month of October and for Halloween. We rented this movie from the video store when I was a kid, and my gosh, my sister and I watched this so many times. We were so obsessed with it. I can quote almost every line. I quote it all the time just in everyday life. I love this movie so much, and I feel like anyone who gives it negative ratings just does not know how to have fun. Eat a bowl of fuck, cause I am here to party. Recommend 100%. Wah, wah, wah. After all that streak of awesomeness, we have to ruin it with All Hallows Eve 2. All Hallows Eve 2 is from 2015. We watched it on Tubi. Obviously, All Hallows Eve was the incarnation of the ever so great Art the Clown. This, however, I don't even know what's going on here. I mean, I'm sorry, Damien Leone. I think he produced this or had some kind of part of it, so whatever. I apologize, but the wraparound thing on this was so silly. In the first movie, it made way more sense. I do think there were a couple decent segments. Like, I don't think the entire movie is bad because it is an anthology thing. It just really didn't need to be a sequel to All Hallows Eve, and there didn't need to be a VHS tape involved. They could have just made a Halloween-themed anthology, and it probably wouldn't have come off as annoying. I don't really know if I would say I recommend this. I guess I would just say, again, like if it's, close to Halloween and you're just looking for a Halloween type of movie to watch, go for it. But otherwise, I really wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I just think the setup for this movie was kind of stupid, if you ask me. I don't know about you, but if somebody knocked on my door wearing an actual piece of pumpkin strapped to their face and gave me a VHS tape, my first reaction is not going to be, well, you know what? Let me go inside and watch what's on this VHS tape. I'm probably going to start asking questions of why this person's on my front porch, or I think it was an apartment. Why this person is coming to my apartment and doing this and giving me this. I'm not watching that tape. Are you crazy? Who is this guy? Why is he watching me with this pumpkin thing on his face? But the lead character of this movie watched the tape. So there you go. You got All Hallows Eve 2. First one was much better. Would not recommend this one. Sorry.
Hey, horror fans, thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Leave us a comment with any awesome spoopy movies that you watched during the month of October that you think we should check out, or let us know if there was something in here that you really like. Until next time.